Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. And today's video is likely to be more than a little controversial. I'll tell you, I can't wait to see the arguments that you guys are going to be having in the comment section of this video after you've seen it. This replay was sent in by Primer7G here in the Super Conqueror, but it's not really about him, although he does pretty well. No, what this video is really about is the T57 Heavy, right there, who was parked behind him at the start of the match. Although, is it? Because you could argue that it's about the WZ-111-5ABB, who spends most of this battle glued to the arse of the T57 Heavy as they both camp the top right corner of the map for almost the entire battle. He's already started making a name for himself right there in chat, telling everybody that if they start trying to tell him how to play his tank, he's going to rage in chat. Son, that ship has sailed. You're already raging in chat, so it's a little bit of a hollow threat. But we at least appreciate you taking the effort to make your position clear right at the start of the game. Even though it is more than a little surplus to requirements, because both your position and the position of the T57 Heavy are abundantly clear by anybody who spends just a second looking at the minimap. So is this replay about the T57 Heavy and the WZ-111? Well, yes and no, because you'd also have a convincing case for arguing that it's about the sheer levels of toxicity engendered in chat by the behaviour of the T57 Heavy and the WZ-111-5ABB. My god, that is a bit of a mouthful. For now, however, let's just concentrate on what's going on in front of us, with one almighty brawl of tier 10 heavy and medium tanks going on right here, right in the middle of the map. The object's pushed around. Come on guys, support him. And they are going around to support him. Of course, you realise that by going around to support him and take the fight to those enemy tanks, any shots coming in from the WZ-111 and T57 Heavy are more dangerous to their teammates than they are to any enemy tanks. Yeah, you noticed that too, did you? Now, it's also worth pointing out, and I'm sure it probably hasn't escaped your notice, that this is exactly the kind of situation where a tank with reasonably good frontal armour and the ability to push out an average of 1200 damage with 258mm of penetration on its 120mm gun in a frighteningly short period of time would be really, really useful. And there is a tank like that on the team, except he's over here. So what exactly are you telling us here, Jingles? People are bad at tanks? No, well, yeah, but that's not really the point. Oh, by the way, this. Yes, that was 1616 damage. He just popped the turret of that enemy tank like a champagne cork with an ammo rack. But yes, I know people are bad at playing tanks. That's not exactly news. Just go to whatreplays.com, close your eyes, pick a replay at random, watch it, and you'll have multiple examples of people who have no idea how to play their tanks. That's not news, I get it. It's nothing remarkable. But it's also not the point of this video. Right now, that T57 Heavy and the WZ-111 are being about as much use to their team as a screen door is useful on a submarine. Primer7G and the Super Conqueror is now out of the match, but even though he's the third tank killed, he's already done the second highest amount of damage that anybody on his team is going to do in the remaining course of this battle. So he's earned his place on the team. He's pulled his weight. Speaking of tanks that haven't earned their place on the team and definitely are not pulling their weight, our two little friends in the top right corner of the map are busy being pinged furiously by other members of the team who have noticed just exactly how useless they're being, and this has provoked another slightly surplus response from the WZ-111, who's doing his level best to channel Pulp Fiction's Vinny Vega by warning everybody not to push him, because he's ready to explode. Except he isn't about to explode, because he hasn't taken any damage whatsoever, because he's camping at the back of the map, which is why you're being pinged. I feel like I really shouldn't have to explain this to him. Although I don't know, maybe these things do need to be pointed out to him, because let's face it, if you're a top tier heavy on this map, and that is where you're choosing to position yourself, just exactly how smart can you be? It's at more or less this point where Primer7G and the Super Conqueror, now that he's dead and he doesn't have anything better to do, weighs in with his first bit of input on the matter. Nice, Two fucking heavies sitting in the corner of the map. Not a particularly helpful comment, but certainly not toxic, entirely factual, and completely understandable given the circumstances. And the T-57 Heavy responds with, well, win it yourself then. I don't know if you noticed, but he was trying to. I mean, you had a grandstand view of the proceedings while you were doing very, very little to actually help. But he was actually trying to win it himself. And now he's dead. And you're still sitting in the corner of the map, on full health, unable to shoot at anything from that position, while the rest of the team are actually trying. Meanwhile, the WZ111-5A-BB has finally found his W key, although something that he said earlier in chat that you might have missed may go some way to explaining why he was camped in the top corner of the map. Well, listen, you fucking accuser, I'm a tier 8, you bitch. No, you're not. Like everybody else in this battle, you're tier 10. How can that possibly have escaped his notice? Meanwhile, the Object 261 artillery, understandably frustrated, but there's really no excuse for this, trying to encourage the T-57 Heavy to actually get stuck in. Although I'm sure that a lot of you are going to argue in the comments that he was completely justified in doing this. The T-57 Heavy, I thought, was going to team kill the Object 261 for that, but while he still obstinately refuses to actually get stuck in, he does at least have enough self-control to not start committing fratricide on his teammates. So 10 out of 10 thus far for self-control, but 0 out of 10 for his ability to aim at, hit and do any kind of damage to an enemy tank in the open right in front of him. I'm really not quite sure what this T-57 Heavy is doing at the moment. I mean, apart from nothing useful. He did at least take some shots at the enemy WZ-111, exposed in the open in front of him, even if all the damage was done by the Object 261, and this guy. The enemy TVP just got shotgunned over open sights from the artillery. The T-95 just got taken out by the WZ-111-5A. What exactly is the T-57 Heavy doing? Is he reloading after firing 2 shots? Actually, no. He's aiming up at the batch out on the ridge over there. And he has actually managed to do something useful for the team. Unfortunately, they've lost the Object 261. Equally unfortunately, the WZ-111-5A here fluffed his shot against the Object 430, which is going to allow the Object to put 1 shot into him, which isn't going to kill him. And he is going to get the Object, but the extra time that it took him to kill the Object means that the artillery, in particular, the Batchat 155-58, can hit him over and over and over with even more shots. So the WZ-111-5A escapes by the skin of his teeth. But the good news is, it's 2 tier 10 heavy tanks against 2 tier 10 artillery, and one of the tier 10 heavy tanks is on full health. The bad news is it's the T-57 Heavy. Although not necessarily. I mean, he hasn't exactly covered himself in glory this far. Now he can actually do something useful, because he's in a great position to win this game. I mean, he's got full health. The artillery cannot kill him. Well, they can, but they would have to spend a long time reloading without him doing anything about it. The team are offering some very useful advice. Let the T-57 go first, and the WZ-111 is taking that advice. He's also put himself in a position where he can potentially shoot at anything that the T-57 Heavy spots, and also not be so far committed to one side of the map that if an extremely quick artillery, like the Batchat 155-58, decides to go for the cap, he can at least try to do something about it. So, what are you doing? What appears to be the problem here? What is he doing? It's at this point where I don't think I'd be entirely out of line by saying the team finally loses their shit. As you can see in chat, they've just about run out of patience for this T-57 Heavy player. I mean, they didn't just lose their shit with him instantly. They started off by offering advice, and there was nothing toxic about it. But now that he's just, well, I don't know what he's doing, they're really starting to lose their shit with him. Entirely understandable, not helpful, because all the time they're yelling at him and questioning his intelligence, he's just arguing back in chat and not actually driving the tank or fighting any enemies. Eventually, however, he does start moving again, and why he just sat there for as long as he did doing nothing, I genuinely have no idea. Despite the shit that's being slung in his general direction in chat, there is one voice of reason, calm and sanity who's continuing to offer advice to the T-57 Heavy, instead of just slinging shit at him in chat, and that's the GWE-100 Artillery, who keeps encouraging him. Tells him, look, we can win this if you just do your job. And they found the Batchat 15558. Unfortunately, the WZ-111-5A does not have a clear shot from here, but the T-57 Heavy does. So why isn't he taking the shot? What the hell is he doing? It's at this point where even the GWE-100 loses his shit. Because if you haven't figured out what the T-57 Heavy is doing by now, it should soon become completely obvious. He is deliberately throwing the match, just to teach his teammates not to fuck with him. I don't know why that French artillery held his fire for as long as he did. I mean, it's possible that he doesn't have sixth sense, and so he wasn't sure that he had actually been spotted. But at the point when the T-57 basically drove up to him, nodded in his general direction, and then turned around and started driving away, it must have been obvious even to a player that doesn't have the sixth sense skill that here was a golden opportunity just staring you in the face. And the Batchat 15558 took it and farmed a bit of extra damage. Team chat does seem remarkably quiet at the moment, doesn't it? Perhaps they're all speechless with rage and shock. The WZ-111-5A, faced with the unenviable task of having to find and kill two artillery, who are almost certainly going to see him coming first, and both of which can one-shot him, is doing his best to try to chase down the Batchat. What's the T-57 doing? Is he actually trying to help a teammate? Well, if he was, it was a bit late. Well, here's what he's doing. He's making sure that he has no surviving teammates who can influence the outcome of this battle. He's also making sure that there's one surviving tank on the enemy team, the enemy GWE-100, who thus far has not been found. And then he's just going to sit here. Well, maybe not here, because he doesn't want to die. He wants to survive this battle, while at the same time making sure that one tank on the enemy team also survives this battle. You see, because the other tanks called him bad names, his precious feelings have been hurt. And he's going to make sure that everybody loses this game. He's going to force a draw. Which, if you're not familiar with tanks, is a fancy way of saying both teams lose, nobody gets the winning team bonus. Yes, he really is that spiteful. I've seen all kinds of things in World of Tanks. I mean, I've been playing this game since 2012, and I've been featuring videos of this game since the middle of 2013. And I've seen people deliberately blocking their teammates, pushing them out of cover in the front of enemies, and then using them as shields. I've seen people deliberately team killing. I've seen it all, or I thought I had. I don't think I've ever quite seen anything as spiteful and mean as this. But I have now. And so have you. You're welcome. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to read the comments on this one. I really... I don't know. I mean, I don't play World of Tanks much anymore. Maybe this sort of thing is more common than I imagine. I sincerely hope not, because this is really scraping the bottom of the barrel. But this guy wanted to make sure everybody got punished for calling him bad names by making sure that everybody involved in this battle lost. And so he forced a draw. Let me know what you think in the comments. I look forward to reading them. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.